All right, y'all, here we go. Another trade video for you. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe, hit the like, hit the share, all that stuff. You got a lot of bozos on YouTube talking about basketball. I just happen to be not one of them. So do yourself a favor, hit the notification bell. I got plenty to come 2020 NBA season. Let's get right to the subject matter. Kyle Kuzma. Now, obviously, it was his trainer that tweeted out that Kawhi's putting in the work. Someone isn't, right? Then Kuzma tweeted, a spade's a spade, quickly deleted it, claimed it, had nothing to do with it, and then promptly talked to LeBron the next day in practice. Okay, well, let's not speculate on the drama if it was or if it wasn't. It really doesn't matter because Kyle Kuzma is proving to not be worth the headache if he is a headache at all. If there is funk, if they don't get along, it doesn't really matter because the pieces don't fit with this Laker roster, right? And he is really the only tradable asset now. What is he averaging here? 24 minutes a game, 35% from three, about 12 points a game. To be perfectly fair, remember he had the stress reaction in the left ankle in training camp, and then he re-aggravated it. He's had some injuries, right? So he hasn't had the chance to fully catch a rhythm and get confident this season coming off the bench, and he just hasn't fit. On paper, you thought it fit because he's such an efficient scorer. He doesn't need to massage the ball. His footwork, his ability to move downhill off the catch is what was so appealing at 24 years old, right? And it's just not happening, right? And so whether LeBron and he get along or if that funk was there, I think the writing was on the wall regardless, because now everybody is clowning him about the Slim Shady, the Stan hair. The hair's been too much. I've already made comments about the little dookie braids he was rocking. Like, you can't wear those braids like JaVale has when they don't even come down to your forehead. Like, you can't have them up here. You might as well have a pacifier in your mouth, but that's neither here nor there. We're here to talk about the trades in the game. But I did want to make one final point, because what does it mean when a girl, your girlfriend or your lady, changes her hair, colors her hair, cuts it, something drastic, right? It usually means that a breakup just happened or a breakup is about to happen. And so the signs are all there. Kuzma comes in with the Slim Shady hair. He knows he's on his way out, okay? So it's that simple. Now the question is, what's it going to be? They got to balance out the roster. They're too forward heavy. They got too many bigs, and it's obvious that they need another guard who can create his own shot and handle the ball. So let's go into the first trade. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. You're going to see a lot of him in these deals because he's really the only guy that can add salary. A lot of these guys are on one-year deals or they don't make enough for Spencer Dinwiddie in New Jersey. Now, why do the Lakers do it? Spencer Dinwiddie, by the way, a Los Angeles native, is exactly that. He's long, he's switchable defensively, he can create his own shot, albeit the same move, that big right-hand hang dribble, right? But he's so long, his first step is so long, he still gets where he wants on the court. He's a smart player. He would be an ideal match for Los Angeles. Now you say, why is New Jersey going to do that? New Jersey, Brooklyn, excuse me, Kevin Durant and Kyrie. Well, they have a logjam back there. I know that they're not healthy, so it doesn't appear that way, but, Kyrie's obviously going to be the dominant ball handler. Then you've got Karis LeVert, who, if he's ever going to be healthy, is another guard who likes to dribble the ball. And so Dinwiddie, while he's a nice player, a nice asset, you're going to get diminishing returns when they are fully healthy in the backcourt, if they ever are. And maybe this is a video for another time, but, has it crossed y'all mind, like, is Kyrie really hurt? Is Kyrie really hurt? I don't know. Anyway, again, a video for another time. And so that's why it would break up their logjam in the backcourt. And then Kyle Kuzma is, again, I think that in a different scenario, in a different setting, in a different roster, I think he can look much better. He still has potential, albeit he is 24, an older, second-year guy, third-year guy? But he played several years of college basketball. Was it at Utah? And, with Durant, you say, well, is he going to take Durant's spot? I think Durant, moving forward, entering his 30s, the back end of his prime, coming off the Achilles, I think his more natural position will be the power forward position. I don't think he's going to want to play or, more importantly, defend out on the perimeter in this part of his career. So you can slide Kuzma to the 3. They're really interchangeable. It's who you're guarding on the other end. But I think it fits. I think it makes sense for both teams somewhat, right? So that was trade number 1. And Laker fans, let me know what y'all think, man. If you grade the trades, throw out your own ones. trade number 2. I'm going to keep most of these in the Eastern Conference because teams don't really like to trade within the conference or the division, right? That's kind of a cardinal sin in the NBA, though it does happen. So this one would be to Orlando. And again, Caldwell Pope, Bradley, and Kuzma for Evan Fournier. Now, Evan Fournier is one of the more underrated players in this league. I don't know how many of you caught him in the FIBA games this summer, but he was dominant. He spanked the Team USA. Pick and roll guy, doesn't necessarily need the ball, but he's an efficient scorer, can operate in pick and roll. Defense leaves a little bit to be desired, but he'll be in the right spots. He's smart enough to play the perimeter with all those shot blockers behind him. As you see in Orlando, it's much like in Los Angeles, he'd have that help behind him. Now, I do have to admit, you kind of scratch your head, why would Orlando do this? Because the Lakers are trying to balance out their roster. Orlando sits in kind of the same position as the Lakers, obviously with not the same amount of talent, but they are jammed up in the forward and front court position. Right, you got Isaac, you've got what's the ugly bastard from Portland that came over there? Anyway, I'm gonna leave him alone. You got Isaac, Aaron Gordon, Mo Bamba, Vucevic. All their talent is in the front court. Aminu, Al-Farouq Aminu, my bad. I am the captain of this boat now, right? I don't know why they signed him. They all kind of do the same thing. They're all guys that you're not really comfortable playing on the perimeter, but they think they're stretch bigs. And so you kind of got to say, all right, why would Orlando do this? Well, my answer would be like, they're not really winning anyway. They're stuck in no man's land. They're hovering around the 8th seed. They're not, they're in that purgatory of the NBA in the middle. So, maybe shift things up here, and there'd be more moves to be made for Orlando. But Fournier, while he's a nice guard, he's not a nice lead guard if you're planning to be a contender, right? And so that would be why that move would be made. And then again, Fournier, 40% plus three-point shooter, operates in the pick and roll, and is just a smart player. So it'd work for the Lakers as well. Let's keep it in Florida and go to Miami. Goran Dragic. Now, this is definitely a win move now, and you're going to see a lot of these are win moves now. These are win now moves, as I should say, because, LeBron's window, Laker fans, whether you want to admit it or not, I know we've never seen anything like LeBron, an athlete like him now. He is 35 officially. It's really these next 2 seasons. AD hasn't committed, and I know everybody assumes he will, but remember, Rich Paul, LeBron has showed him the way of kind of holding the organization ransom. And so AD is not going to commit until he has to. And so it's a 2-year window right now as far as LeBron, AD, and these championships. So they don't have time for Kyle Kuzma to figure it out and become a man and spring some hair on his chest. Anyway, here I go again ranting about Kyle Kuzma and other things. But some of these moves, you could say, oh, well, that's not worth it in the future. But right now, we're talking about winning a chip right now for you Laker fans. Goran Dragic can help you extremely because he's not going to shrink in the moment. He's a vet. He has a lot of experience, so you can trust him late in games, right? He can play on or off ball. And frankly, right now, Miami, he's got to be at least mentioned in the 6th man of the year conversation. So he's coming off the bench now. He does wear that big bionic knee brace that you see Blake Griffin wear. And so the health would be the question with him. Can he stay healthy? He never seems to be able to. At a certain point, you look at a guy in his career and you don't go, it's not coincidental. It's a playing style that leads to injury. And Dragic has a playing style that leads to injury because he's so aggressive slicing to the hoop and he's fearless. But, in a perfect world, you could say the same thing about KCP and Avery Bradley. It's like, yes, those guys are contributing. Avery Bradley went off the other night against the Suns. But let's be real here. Avery Bradley is not going to be healthy and contributing come May. That's just the reality of the situation. KCP, you could say the same thing. How many times does KCP go back to the locker room during a game to get his ankle checked or whatever it is? It seems like it happens every other night. And so, yes, the injuries are always a concern, but the guys you're sending out have been injury prone as well. And then from Miami's perspective, look, Dragic is, if they have championship aspirations this season, which it appears they should, what are they sitting 2nd in the East right now? Then it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Dragic is very important for them because there's still a lot of youth. I know they got Butler, but there's still a lot of youth. Bam, Hero, Robinson, none. They don't have a lot of vets in there, so he is important for them. But you do look at what they're getting back, and they're Miami-style players, right? KCP, Avery Bradley will fit right into the culture there. Hard-nosed, effort guys that are, sort of interchangeable. So it could be something to consider. Who do we have next here? Staying in the East. This one was fun. I like this one. I don't know if y'all have come up with this. Those other ones you might have. How about Derrick Rose finally teaming up with LeBron James all these years later? Now, did Avery Bradley, was he ever on the Pistons? Avery Bradley's bounced around a bit. I feel like he might have been on the Pistons for a season or two. Detroit, much like Orlando, they're just stuck in that zone. They're not quite bad enough. They're definitely not good enough. Derrick Rose has quietly had 2 healthy seasons where he comes off the bench. And again, another guy that may be considered for 6th man of the year. He closes games for Dwayne Casey in Detroit. And Derrick Rose is one of the better feel-good stories of the league of how his career has actually started to pan out, right? Because at one point it was a tragedy. And now, not only does he still have his bounce, but he's figured out how to use it a little bit differently. He doesn't go so reckless to the hoop. He uses that bounce and explosiveness to get into jumpers and pull up mid-range shots. Not the most efficient shots, but and then I think that if you want to look at chemistry here, because that we have to acknowledge that. And I think that with Rose, you look at Dwight, you look at LeBron, AD, both Chicago boys, right? I think he fits right in there at this point. He's accepted himself as a 6th man or a 3rd guard, and then he's around the same age as those guys. I think it would just blend perfectly. And then for Detroit, you get the bird rights, the bird rights to the bird brain, Kyle Kuzma, and they still have a ways to go. Luke Kennard, Blake Griffin, no one's going to take that contract, and then are they going to give Andre Drummond upwards of $200 million? That's a tough pill to swallow. Okay. I've got a couple more for you. Again, I got a new year. I don't like doing this. I don't like trying to pimp and sell shit, but hit the subscribe, man. Hit the subscribe. Again, you see so many bozos on here reporting the news. They're not really bringing things to think about. I am, and I'm going to continue to do so. So hit the subscribe. All right, we're going to the Western Conference, and we're actually breaking the rules of the game, and we're trading within the division to the Sacramento Kings. Is it Bogdan or Borjan? There's one in Utah that's bigger. Bogdanovic. Now, Sacramento, when is Vlade going to get fired, first of all, Kings fans? What's good, bro? Obviously, they started off super rough. Bagley, Fox, are they ever going to be healthy? But what they did do was they basically chose Buddy Hield over Bogdanovic. Both of them were up for extensions. Remember Buddy, there was a little drama, pay me. He was early in the season hitting threes, talking about show me the money. Getting his Cuba Gooding Jr. on, right? And Vlade paid him upwards of $100 million. Now, they also gave Harrison Barnes $80 million, where if you want to actually circle maybe the mistake, it could be the old Black Falcon with that $80 million bag. But nonetheless, Bogdanovic appears to be the odd man out. They're not going to be able to pay what he is worth. And you could make the argument. I think that you can slightly say, all right, Hield's the better, more consistent guy. You had to choose him. But Bogdanovic is almost comparable to Hield. He doesn't get the opportunities Hield gets, and he's had some injuries. But he's another underrated dude, not just a shooter, can create off the bounce. And then there's just a toughness to Bogdanovic, right? There's a little nasty, mean streak that I like that I think would bode well, in the playoffs. Now, the chemistry. I brought up Derrick Rose and how that may fit. Now you bring Bogdanovic in again, who if you watch him, I've never even heard an interview from him, to be fair, but watch his body language, his mentality on the court. He's kind of chippy. And so would he mesh in that Laker locker room where you have to bow and kiss the ring to who? I don't know. But again, he's still on his rookie deal. It could be a rental. And then if the Lakers like him, then you extend him, right? Same goes with Kuzma in Sacramento, where you reunite Kyle Kuzma with Luke Walton. And those two dudes can go prowling the town on Saturday night in Sacramento, right? They seem like they might get along. But yeah, Sacramento, man, I feel bad for the fans, really, because every year it feels like they're going to take another step, and then for whatever reason, they get in their own way. All right, I've got one more trade for you. And I'm going to wrap this thing up here. Now, and this isn't a sexy or exciting trade. It just kind of makes sense for both sides. But I do want to acknowledge that Popovich and the Spurs are very unlikely to even pick up the phone when it comes to a trade with the Lakers. But we haven't seen the Spurs this bad in a long time, and they've got a logjam. They have an unbalanced roster, and it makes sense. So, when you're not as good and you're a little more desperate, then maybe you're a little more willing to deal with people that you weren't willing to deal with, right? And so maybe San Antonio will listen. Hell, maybe the Lakers don't want to listen. But San Antonio, look, you got DeJounte Murray, you got Lonnie Baxter. Is it Lonnie Baxter? Lonnie Walker. Lonnie Baxter. He played at Maryland like 10 years ago. Anyway, get it together out. Lonnie Walker, DeJounte Murray, Derek White, Brent Forbes. They have all these guards all around the same age, and they're all kind of do the same thing. Now, DeJounte's the athlete of them, and he's the guy that they paid and want to be the guy, but they all split minutes, and it's just weird. It's not working. And so they're unbalanced. You look at their front court, LaMarcus Aldridge, he's 35. No one wants him. DeMar and his emo shit, no one wants him. So it would be an opportunity because Kuzma, let's keep it a buck. Kuzma would look slick in that Spurs system. Again, I talk about his footwork and his efficiency. If plugged into that system, I think it would work well. I think they would like him. Again, though, do the Lakers, how much do they like Derek White? Remember, he played on Team USA. A lot of people thought that was kind of nepotism with Pop being the coach. But he plays kind of at a weird pace, but he's always in control. He has the Pop sign of approval, right? They obviously like him. He shoots 40+% from the three-point line, and he would be another guard ball handler. It's not a big risk, right? It's not a big thing. It's a one-for-one deal, and both these teams get the opportunity to kind of balance out their rosters. All right, so that'll do it. What are that, 5-6 trades for this dude? Laker fans, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm looking at from the outside perspective. I try to catch the Lakers at least once a week, but I think it's time to move him. Do you have a better trade, or do you want to wait him out and just hope that he gets better as the playoffs go along? Because I do bring up the point, like, look, we all know it's going to come down to the Clippers and Lakers if they're healthy. And so it doesn't necessarily, that's what you have, the matchup you have to look at as far as what Kuzma can do for you. And you're going to be hard-pressed to put him on Paul George or Kawhi, and then that's a tough matchup for him on the other end, on the offensive end. So I don't know. I think y'all need another guard, wing ball handler. Are you willing to give up Kuzma, or do you think he has too much potential moving forward, man? You can't like how he's acting out there. I think you need to get him out of L.A., shave his head, let him start fresh somewhere else. But let me know what y'all think. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all. I've been winning so long, it's like alchemy.